Meat is rarer, yet not absent. On ordinary days, it might be dried fish from the Nile, caught with woven nets or simple hooks. Catfish, tilapia, perch, grilled or stewed, seasoned with herbs. On special days, perhaps a duck or goose, roasted golden over the fire. Sheep and goats provide meat, but only on rare occasions. Cattle are too precious, saved for the wealthy or the sacred. Still, when meat is shared, it is a celebration, a sign of honor, a moment remembered. Hello, and welcome. I'm so glad you are here with me tonight. This is a quiet space, a gentle space, a safe place where we can drift together into the past, and maybe, if you wish, into sleep. Take a deep breath with me. Slowly in, and slowly out. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your eyes grow heavier. There is no rush, no pressure, no need for anything right now. Just you, listening, resting, drifting. Tonight, we're going to step into a world far, far away, a world thousands of years old, a world that feels distant, yet strangely familiar. We are going to Egypt, ancient Egypt, not the Egypt of kings and battles, not the Egypt of golden treasures or mighty pyramids. No, tonight we are not chasing glory. Tonight, we are interested in something far more ordinary. We are asking a very simple question. What did ancient Egyptians do all day? And the answer? Well, it may surprise you. Because the answer is not very much. Not much that is exciting. Not much that would be told in great stories. But that is exactly why it is perfect for us tonight. Because ordinary lives, quiet lives, repeated, predictable, almost boring lives, are the most soothing to imagine. So let us wander together, slowly, gently, without hurry, into the everyday world of ancient Egypt. The river at dawn. Picture the Nile. A long ribbon of silver water, winding endlessly from the far south, moving slowly, steadily, never in a rush, never in a panic. The river is calm. It flows as it always has. It flows as it always will. On its banks, reeds grow tall, swaying gently. Birds perch in them, chirping softly, testing the morning air. The first light of the sun touches the river's surface, a pale glow, almost invisible at first, spreading gradually, quietly, without noise, without urgency. The land around the river is dark earth, black, rich, damp. This is the gift of the Nile, the soil that makes life possible. Beyond it, further away, the desert waits endless, empty, golden sands that stretch forever. But here, close to the river, there is life. A fisherman pushes his small wooden boat into the shallow water. The boat creaks softly. The fisherman does not speak. He simply moves, as his father did, and as his father's father did before him. His oar dips into the water with a quiet splash. A circle ripples outward, then fades. The boat drifts forward. The man casts his net, the threads spreading wide like a delicate fabric, then sinking gently beneath the surface. He waits. This is his day, and tomorrow will be the same, and the day after that. Always the same, always waiting, always fishing. A farmer wakes. Not far from the river, in a small mudbrick house, a farmer opens his eyes. The roof above him is flat, made of palm branches coated with mud. The walls are rough, uneven, but they keep the family safe. He sleeps on a simple mat of reeds. His wife and children are beside him, still curled in light linen sheets. The farmer stretches. He yawns. He listens. The morning is quiet. Only the faint sound of animals stirring. A goat bleating. Chickens rustling in their pen. The man rises slowly. He has no clock, no alarm. The rhythm of the sun is enough. He steps outside into his courtyard. The earth is cool beneath his bare feet. In the center of the yard stands a clay oven, cracked from years of fire. Beside it, yesterday's cooking pot rests, empty now, but still smelling faintly of lentils. He looks toward the fields. They are waiting, as they always wait. His tools, a wooden plow, a basket, a simple sickle edged with flint, lean against the wall. They are worn, but they still work. They will serve him today, as they did yesterday and the day before. The farmer sighs softly. He knows exactly what this day will bring. Work. Slow, endless work. And yet, this sameness is his comfort. The sun rises, the Nile floods, the crops grow, the cycle never ends. The scribe's house. Elsewhere in the town, another man is waking. He is a scribe, a man of writing, a man of words. His home is larger, smoother, the walls painted with pale whitewash. His bed is not a mat, but a wooden frame with leather straps, and over it lies a sheet of fine linen. The scribe stretches. His hands ache slightly. Writing is not as easy as it seems. The reed pens split easily. The ink dries too quickly. The papyrus curls at the edges. But still, he will go to the temple, and he will copy lists and accounts. He pours a little water from a jar into a small basin. He washes his face, blinking at the coolness. He breathes in. Another day has begun. Another long day of steady, careful writing. Outside, the first faint notes of a temple hymn drift through the streets. A priest is already awake, chanting words to the gods. The smell of incense follows, light smoke rising and floating into the morning sky. The scribe listens for a moment. Then he prepares to go. The city stirs. The streets of the town are narrow. Mudbrick walls lean close together, leaving thin paths of dust. Doors are low, windows tiny. Women begin to sweep in front of their houses with palm branch brooms. They know the dust will return, always. But sweeping is part of the rhythm of life. Children begin to stir. Some chase dogs through the alleys. Some sit quietly, waiting for chores to be assigned. In the market square, stalls are still empty, but soon they will fill. Traders will bring baskets of onions, garlic, bread loaves, jars of beer sealed with clay. Fishermen will lay out their catch. Artisans will bring small pots, combs, linen cloth. But for now, it is quiet. The air is still. Only footsteps echo here and there. Caravan at the edge. Beyond the city, near the desert, a caravan begins to move. Donkeys, loaded with heavy sacks, shuffle slowly. Their hooves kick up pale dust that hangs in the air. Traders walk beside them, leading the animals. They have jars of oil, bundles of papyrus, cloth to sell, and grain to deliver. The desert sun is not yet strong, but it will be. So they walk now, slowly, quietly, before the heat presses down. Bells around the donkeys' necks tinkle gently, a soft, repetitive sound. Step after step, mile after mile, day after day. The pattern of morning. And so, across Egypt, the pattern repeats. Farmers wake to their fields. Fishermen wake to their boats. Scribes wake to their papyrus. Priests wake to their hymns. Traders wake to their caravans. Every morning, every year, every generation. The same sun, the same river, the same earth. Life is simple, predictable, repeated. And perhaps, to us, it may seem boring. But to the ancient Egyptians, this sameness was a gift, a steady rhythm, a calm heartbeat, a life where one day looked almost exactly like the next. A gentle pause. As you imagine this world, let your own breath match its rhythm. The Nile flows. The sun rises. The people wake. Everything moves slowly, softly, endlessly repeating. Just like your breath. In and out. The perfect place to rest your mind, and perhaps to drift deeper into sleep. Hello again. We are still in ancient Egypt, still standing beside the Nile as the sun climbs a little higher. The air is warmer now, though still soft with the freshness of morning. People are fully awake, and it is time for the first meal of the day. But don't imagine anything grand. No feasts, no lavish spreads. For the ordinary people of ancient Egypt, breakfast was simple, always simple. Bread and beer. The first food was bread, always bread. Egypt was the land of bread. Wheat and barley grew in the black earth of the Nile's floodplain. Year after year, the river left its gift of silt, and in that soil, farmers planted the grain. The bread of ancient Egypt was not soft or fluffy, as you might imagine today. No, it was heavy, coarse, and often filled with small fragments of grit from the grinding stones. When you chewed it, it crunched faintly against your teeth. Archaeologists have even found worn-down teeth in Egyptian skulls, proof that the bread slowly ground them away, year after year. Beside the bread, there was beer. Not the strong, foaming drink you might think of, but a thick, cloudy beer, more like a liquid porridge. It was nourishing, filling, safe to drink. Everyone drank it, men, women, children. Beer was a part of life. So a typical breakfast might be nothing more than a hunk of bread and a jug of beer. Simple, predictable. Other foods of the morning. Sometimes there were extras. A few dates, sweet and sticky, clinging to their pits. Perhaps some figs, soft and rich. Onions, sharp in flavor, cheap and common. Garlic, too eaten raw, believed to bring strength. If a family was lucky, there might be a little fish from the Nile, dried in the sun, salty and chewy. Or perhaps some lentils, boiled gently into a stew the night before, still left in the pot. But luxuries like honey, meat, or fine cakes were rare for ordinary people. These were for the wealthy, for priests, for officials. For most, breakfast was humble. The act of eating. Picture the family now. They sit on low stools or on the ground itself. There's no grand table. Instead, baskets of bread are set out. Small clay bowls hold the beer. Children reach eagerly, dipping their bread into the beer to soften it. The father chews slowly, silently, his hands rough from the fields. The mother breaks bread into smaller pieces, giving them to the younger ones. The meal is quiet, unhurried, just another part of the rhythm of the day. And when it is finished, there are chores to return to. Washing and cosmetics. The Egyptians valued cleanliness. Even the poor washed themselves in the Nile whenever they could. A small jug of water might be poured over the hands and face before eating or after. Soap, as we know it, did not exist, but a paste of natron, a natural salt, could be rubbed on the skin. For wealthier families, there was more. Perfumed oils to soften the skin. Cones of scented wax that would slowly melt on the head in the heat, releasing fragrance. Even ordinary people paid attention to appearance. Men shaved their heads or kept their hair short to avoid lice. Women often braided their hair carefully or wore wigs if they could afford them. Both men and women used kohl, a dark cosmetic made of ground minerals, to outline the eyes. not only for beauty, but also to protect against the harsh glare of the sun. So, in the mornings, after breakfast, many people would take a moment to wash, to oil their skin, to darken their eyes. Small rituals, repeated endlessly. Clothing for the day. The clothing was simple. For men, a linen kilt, wrapped around the waist, sometimes pleated neatly. For women, a sheath dress of linen, held by straps over the shoulders. Linen was the fabric of Egypt. Cotton did not yet exist here. Wool was rare, avoided in temples because it was considered impure. Linen, woven from the flax plant, was light and cool, perfect for the hot climate. The poor wore coarse linen, rough to the touch. The wealthy wore fine, thin linen, almost transparent, decorated with pleats and folds. Children often wore nothing at all, until they were older. In the heat, it was simpler. And so, after washing and dressing, the people were ready to step into their day. Morning chores. But before the main work began, there were always chores. Women might grind grain, turning heavy stones again and again, hour after hour, to make flour for the next day's bread. The sound of grinding stones was part of every household, a steady, repetitive rhythm, day after day. Others might fetch water from the river, balancing heavy jars on their heads as they walked back to the house. Children might be sent to gather reeds or to herd goats to a patch of grass. Every small task was necessary. Every small task was repeated endlessly. Among the wealthy, in the homes of officials and nobles, breakfast looked different. There might be honey cakes, fresh fruit, cuts of meat. There might be musicians playing softly as the household stirred. Servants would bring water for washing, lay out fine clothes, braid hair. But even here, the rhythm was the same. The sun rose. People washed, ate, dressed, and went about their duties. Whether rich or poor, life in Egypt began with the same steps. A pause to reflect. As you imagine this, let your own breath slow down again. Picture the farmer's rough bread, the child dipping bread into beer, the mother grinding grain, her arms moving in the same pattern her mother once showed her. Picture the scribe sitting in his courtyard, carefully applying black coal to his eyes. Picture the noblewoman, her maid combing fragrant oil into her hair. Different lives, the same rhythm. And the people of Egypt begin again. A world without hurry. Think of it. No clocks, no alarms, no rush to catch a bus or a train. The rhythm of life was set only by the sun, the river, the seasons. The flood season, the planting season, the harvest season. The morning, the midday, the evening, the night. Nothing more, nothing less. A steady pattern, a calm repetition. And so, after breakfast, after washing, after dressing, the ancient Egyptians were ready for the long hours of work ahead. Not exciting work, not dramatic work, just ordinary work. The kind of work that filled every day, every year, every lifetime. But that, my friend, is a story for the next part of our journey. The day's work. The sun is higher now. The pale morning glow has turned golden. The heat begins to spread across the land, pressing gently, then firmly, until all shade disappears. The day has truly begun, and with it, the work. The fields by the Nile. Along the riverbank, farmers step into their fields. The earth is dark, rich, still moist from the flood season. The Nile has withdrawn, leaving behind its gift a layer of silt, fine and fertile. This is the rhythm of the year. Flood, plant, harvest, over and over. The farmer guides his oxen. They are yoked together, pulling a wooden plow through the soil. The tool is simple, just wood, but it breaks the ground enough to prepare for seed. Step by step, the oxen walk slowly. Step by step, the farmer follows. Dust rises, then settles. Behind him, his wife scatters seed from basket. The seeds fall lightly, some caught by the breeze, some settling in the furrows. The children run to chase away birds, clapping, shouting softly, waving sticks. This is their role, their contribution. The work is steady. It does not end. The sun climbs higher, the air grows hotter, but the plowing continues. In another field, men bend low, cutting reeds for baskets and mats. Their backs ache, their hands are rough, but they continue, slowly, quietly, predictably. Irrigation. Further along the river, workers lift water with a shadoof, a long wooden pole balanced on a beam, with a bucket tied to one end and a counterweight on the other. They pull the bucket into the river, lift it, swing it, and pour the water into a channel that leads to the fields, over and over. The bucket dips, the bucket rises, the water flows. It is endless, repetitive, but without this rhythm, there would be no crops, no bread, no life. The craftsmen. In the town, the craftsmen are also at work. A potter sits before his wheel. The wheel is simple, turned by hand or foot, spinning slowly. A lump of clay sits in the center, wet and sticky. The potter's hands shape it gently, patiently, coaxing it upward into a jar, a bowl, a lamp. His fingers smooth the surface. His palms press lightly. The clay obeys. Nearby, another craftsman carves wood. His tools are bronze chisels, sharp but small. He shapes a chair, a box, a statue of a god. The shavings fall to the ground in curls, pale against the dusty floor. Metal workers hammer copper, bending it into tools, jewelry, blades. The sound is soft, not loud, a gentle tapping, rhythmic, steady. Weavers sit with looms, passing thread over and under, creating linen cloth. Their fingers move quickly, but without urgency. Over, under, over, under. The pattern never changes. The fabric grows inch by inch. Each craft is slow. Each craft is repetitive. Each craft is essential. The scribes. In a shaded courtyard near the temple, scribes sit cross-legged with papyrus scrolls. Their reed pens are cut to a fine point. They dip them into black ink, made from soot, and red ink, made from ochre. Carefully, they draw signs, words, numbers, lists. The scribe records how much grain has been stored, how much has been given, how much remains. He writes contracts. He copies hymns. He adds rows of figures. His hand moves slowly, carefully, steadily. Each mark must be correct, each symbol exact. A mistake means confusion, lost records, angry overseers. So the scribe bends lower, steadying his hand, his breath calm, his eyes focused. The work is not loud, it is not physical, but it is long. Hours and hours of writing, the scratch of reed on papyrus, the soft sigh of a tired man. The priests. At the temple, the priests are busy. The gods must be honored. Rituals must be performed. In the innermost chamber, a small statue of a god sits hidden in a shrine. Each morning, the high priest enters. He bows deeply. He washes the statue with pure water, just as a person would be washed. He dresses the statue in fine linen, places jewelry upon it, offers bread, beer, meat, incense. The god must be cared for as though alive. The god must eat, must drink, must be clean. Outside, lesser priests sweep the temple floors, light lamps, pour pour water on the ground to settle the dust. Incense burns in bronze burners, smoke curling upward in slow, lazy spirals. Hymns are chanted, softly, rhythmically, the same words repeated as they have been for centuries. It is not exciting work. It is devotion, habit, duty, every day, every morning. The laborers. Not all work is gentle. Some men labor in the quarries, far from the river, cutting stone from the cliffs. Their tools are hammers, chisels, wooden wedges. The sun beats down, merciless, on their backs. Dust clings to their skin, their throats grow dry, but they continue. The stone blocks are dragged by ropes, pulled by teams of men. Step by step, inch by inch, the sound of straining voices, of wood against stone, fills the air. This is hard, heavy work, but it too is part of Egypt's rhythm. Without stone, there are no temples, no tombs, no monuments. And so the men continue, day after day. The children. Even the children work. Some carry water. Some help grind grain. Some chase birds from the fields. Some run errands in the market. Their play is mixed with chores, their laughter with duty. Life is simple, but it requires everyone's hands. The heat of midday. By now, the sun is high. The light is sharp, white, unforgiving. The air shimmers. Shadows shrink. Work slows. Farmers pause in the shade of palm trees. They chew bread, drink beer, wipe sweat from their brows. Craftsmen set down their tools for a moment. Scribes roll up their papyrus. Priests sit in the cool temple halls, resting before the afternoon rituals. It is too hot to hurry, too hot to struggle. So everyone moves slowly, softly, as though time itself has thickened. The Nile glitters, silent and endless. Birds circle lazily above. Donkeys stand still, tails swishing gently at flies. For a while, everything quiets. The rhythm of work. And then, slowly, gently, the work resumes. Oxen move through fields again. Water is lifted again. Pens scratch on papyrus again. Hymns echo again. Nothing new, nothing surprising. Always the same. The farmer, the craftsman, the scribe, the priest, each plays his role. Each repeats the same tasks his father once did, and his children will one day do. This is life in ancient Egypt. Not sudden, not exciting, but steady, a pattern as old as the river. And so the day passes, hour by hour, chore by chore, step by step, until the light begins to change again, until the sun begins to fall. But that, my friend, belongs to the evening. The afternoon sun is softer now. The shadows grow longer. The air, though still hot, has lost its sharpest edge. And this is the time when the marketplace comes alive. The street of stalls. In the center of the town, narrow streets widen into a dusty square. Wooden stalls, low tables, baskets on the ground. This is the marketplace. There are no shops, no permanent walls. Only simple stands, built and rebuilt every day. Merchants arrive slowly, carrying baskets on their backs, jars on their shoulders, leading donkeys loaded with goods. They set their wares in the same places as yesterday, and the day before, and the day before that. There is no written sign, no price list. Everyone knows, everyone remembers. The square fills with quiet movement, the murmur of voices, the shuffle of feet, the soft bray of a donkey tied to a post. The market begins. Food for sale. The first things you notice are the baskets of bread, round, heavy loaves. Some plain, some flavored with dates or herbs. They're stacked carefully, leaning against one another. The smell faint, but warm. Beside them sit jars of beer, clay jars sealed with mud or straw, ready to be carried home. A woman dips a jug into one jar to taste, nodding, then hands over a bundle of onions in exchange. There are piles of onions everywhere. Onions were cheap, common, eaten by everyone. Next to them, garlic, sharp and strong. Then cucumbers, lentils, chickpeas, beans. At another stall, dried fish lies on woven mats, salted, smelling of the river. Some fish are smoked, their skins darkened. Some are fresh, shimmering faintly in the sun. Dates and figs are sold from baskets, sticky and sweet, pressed together in clumps. Grapes, when in season, are brought in small bundles, still attached to the vine. Honey is rare, precious, stored in small clay pots, thick and golden. Everything is simple. Everything is ordinary. But each item matters. The butcher's corner. In one corner of the square, a butcher works. Meat is not common for most Egyptians. It is expensive, rare, but here, small cuts are sold. Goat meat, sometimes beef, sometimes goose or duck. The butcher works with a bronze knife, cutting slowly, carefully, laying pieces on a board. Flies buzz, but the meat is covered with cloth when possible. Families who can afford a little meat buy it in small amounts, just enough for a stew. For most, though, meat is a luxury, eaten only on festivals or special days. The potter's stand. Nearby, a potter sells his wares. Jars of all sizes, small bowls, lamps, water jugs. Each piece is shaped by hand, baked in the kiln, cooled, and carried here. The surface is plain, sometimes decorated with simple red or black designs. One woman tests a jar by tapping it lightly with her knuckle. The sound is dull, solid. She nods and sets it aside to buy. These pots will hold beer, grain, oil, water. Without them, life is impossible. Linen and cloth. Weavers bring folded linen, stacked neatly. The coarse cloth of the poor, rough but strong. The fine, thin linen of the wealthy, pale and almost transparent. Some women finger the fabric gently, rubbing it between their hands, testing its softness. Others look at the patterns, the pleats, the quality. Most buy only a small strip to be sewn into a new kilt, a dress, or a simple head covering. Trade without coins. There is no clinking of money here. Egyptians did not use coins in these times. Instead, trade was barter, one item for another. A jug of beer for a bundle of onions, a loaf of bread for a clay bowl, a length of linen for a basket of fish. Sometimes values were measured in units of copper or in measures of grain, but the exchange was always direct, always practical. So the market is filled not with the sound of coins, but with the murmur of bargaining. Quiet voices, back and forth, repeating, until both sides agree. The crowd. The marketplace is busy, but not loud. Children run between the stalls, carrying small baskets for their parents. Donkeys stand patiently, tails swishing. Dogs sniff the ground for scraps. Women stand in small groups, talking softly, sharing news, exchanging gossip. Men examine tools, testing the edge of a blade, the balance of a handle. Priests pass through, collecting offerings for the temple. Scribes move quietly, taking notes, watching the flow of goods. The air is full of smells: bread, beer, fish, onions, dust, sweat, smoke. A heavy, familiar blend. The smell of daily life. Imported goods? Sometimes something unusual appears. A jar of oil from Syria. A block of incense from Punt. A piece of lapis lazuli from far away, deep blue, glowing in the sun. These are treasures, expensive, rare. Few can afford them. But people still stop, still look, still admire. They remind the Egyptians that their land was part of a wider world. The traders crossed deserts, seas, and rivers to bring goods here. But for most, such things remain only dreams. The rhythm of exchange. And so the market continues. Goods are offered, goods are taken, bread for fish, beer for onions, linen for jars, every day, every week, every season. Nothing changes. Nothing needs to change. The people of Egypt buy what they need. They return home. They prepare for the evening. The marketplace empties slowly. The dust settles. The donkeys go home. The stalls are cleared. And the square becomes quiet again. A gentle ending. The sun is lower now. The day is sliding toward evening. The marketplace, once busy, is nearly still. What remains is only memory, the soft voices of traders, the smell of bread and beer, the sight of baskets filled with onions, figs, fish, simple things, ordinary things, the rhythm of life in ancient Egypt. And as the shadows lengthen, the people return to their homes, to cook, to eat, to rest, until tomorrow, when the same scene will happen again. The marketplace grows quiet now. The sun begins to slip lower, and people return to their homes. Let us follow them, through the streets, through the doors, into the private spaces of ancient Egypt. The simple mud brick house. Most homes are small, low, made of mud brick, baked in the hot sun. The walls are rough, the color of sand. The roofs are flat, built with wooden beams, palm leaves, and layers of clay. Inside it is cool, darker, a relief after the glare of the street. A typical house has only 2 or 3 rooms, a main room for living, a small room for storage, and a rooftop open to the sky where people sleep on hot nights. The floors are made of packed earth. The windows are small, square, set high in the wall to keep out the sun and dust. There is little decoration, only what is needed, only what is useful. The furniture. Furniture is simple, almost bare. A low bed made of wood with woven mats stretched across. Sometimes a stone or wood headrest shaped like a curved block, cool against the neck. Small stools. A short table, used for eating, for preparing food, for daily work. Baskets woven from reeds, stacked neatly in corners, holding bread, onions, beans. On the floor, jars of water, jars of beer, jars of grain. Every jar is sealed with clay or straw. Every jar is important. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is extra. The kitchen. In one corner of the house, or in a small courtyard outside, is the kitchen. A simple hearth, made of clay, with spaces for firewood, for embers, for cooking pots. A woman kneels near the fire, grinding grain on a flat stone with another stone. The sound is soft, steady, repetitive. Grain is crushed into flour. Flour is mixed with water. Dough is shaped into small loaves. Loaves are baked in clay ovens, bell-shaped, heated by fire until glowing red. The smell of bread fills the air. The same smell. The same rhythm. Near the oven, a pot of lentil stew simmers slowly. Onions, garlic, herbs, perhaps a little fish, if the family can afford it. Simple food. Warm food. Food for survival. Animals at home. Many homes keep animals. Goats, chickens, ducks. Sometimes a cow, if there is space, if there is wealth. These animals live close to the family, often in the courtyard, sometimes even inside small rooms. Their sounds are constant, the cluck of hens, the bleat of goats, the low hum of cattle. Dogs wander in and out, loyal, watchful, sometimes curled near the door. Cats slip silently through the rooms, graceful, soft, chasing mice that hide in the grain jars. Animals are not separate from life. They are part of it. Every night. Light in the house. When the sun sets, the house grows dark quickly. There are no glass windows, no bright lamps, only small clay oil lamps filled with castor oil, with a linen wick. The light is weak, flickering, golden. Shadows dance on the walls. The air smells faintly of smoke. People work while they can. But soon, the darkness invites rest. The wealthy homes. Not all homes are small. For the wealthy, for the nobles, for the priests, life is different. Their houses are larger, built of the same mud brick, but many rooms, many courtyards, painted walls, carved columns. Gardens grow inside the walls, watered by channels, shaded by sycamore and palm. Pools of water filled with lotus flowers cool the air. Servants move quietly through the rooms, cooking, cleaning, carrying. The furniture is finer. Carved chairs, beds with legs shaped like lions' paws, wooden chests with inlaid ivory, linen cushions, painted jars, decorative fans of feathers. The wealthy dine on more food goose, beef, fresh fruit, honey cakes, wine. They sit on chairs while servants bring plates. Musicians play. Dancers perform. It is the same Egypt, the same land, but a different life. Children in the home. Children are everywhere, playing in the courtyard, chasing each other on the rooftops. Sitting beside their mothers, learning to weave, to grind grain, to carry water. They wear simple linen tunics, or sometimes nothing at all in the heat. Their heads are often shaved, except for one long lock of hair, the side lock of youth. They laugh, they sing, they shout, and then they sleep quickly, deeply, worn out from the day. Night on the rooftop. When the day is too hot, families climb to the roof. They spread mats. They lie down under the open sky. The stars are sharp and clear. The desert night is cooler, quieter. Dogs bark in the distance. Donkeys bray. But above, the sky is endless, eternal. Families lie together. Children drift into sleep. Adults whisper softly, then fall silent. The rooftop becomes a bed. The house becomes a shell. The night embraces all. The rhythm of home, every day the same. Bread baked, water carried, jars sealed. Animals fed, children raised. The poor in their small rooms, the rich in their wide gardens. But both under the same sun, both under the same stars. Both part of the same rhythm. The rhythm of life. The rhythm of Egypt. When the work of the day is done, the fields quiet, the jars sealed, and the bread cooled from the oven, an Egyptian family finds its time to rest. This is the moment when the rhythm of labor gives way to the softer rhythm of leisure. Imagine a modest mud brick home on the edge of the village. The father has returned from the fields, his skin darkened by the sun, his linen kilt dusty with earth. The mother has put aside the grinding stone, her hands sore from kneading dough. The children, who had been helping fetch water, now wait eagerly, restless for evening games. Inside the courtyard, the day's heat still lingers, but the air is slowly cooling. Shadows lengthen across the walls. This is the hour when life slows. Storytelling and conversation. The family gathers on woven mats spread across the ground. They do not speak loudly. They do not rush. Voices are soft, measured. The father tells stories of his work in the fields, how the overseer inspected the irrigation canals, how the oxen struggled in the mud, how the river seemed lower this year. These are not dramatic tales, but they are listened to with care, for the fields are life itself. Sometimes he shifts to older stories, passed down from his own father. Tales of the Nile god Hapi, or of the pharaoh's divine power. The children listen wide-eyed, though they know many of the words by heart. Storytelling is not about surprise. It is about continuity. The same words, repeated across years, across generations, are like the Nile itself, always flowing, always familiar. Games for children. When stories end, the children grow restless again. They fetch small toys made of wood and clay. One has a carved lion on wheels, pulled by a string. Another has a doll with beaded hair. Boys play with sticks, pretending they are spears. They toss little knuckle bones made from sheep ankles, laughing when they scatter across the ground. Girls clap in rhythm, singing short songs, teasing their brothers. These are simple amusements, but they fill the warm night with joy. The games require little, only imagination. And imagination is abundant. Music and rhythm. From somewhere in the neighborhood, faint music drifts across the air. A neighbor plucks a lute, the strings buzzing softly. Another beats a small hand drum. Perhaps someone shakes a rattle made of clay and beads, its sound dry and crisp in the night. The family listens. Sometimes they join in. The mother claps softly to the rhythm. The father hums a low tune. The children sway their heads, moving in time with the beat. Music in Egypt is everywhere, in temples, in festivals, in work songs on the riverboats. But here, in the small courtyard of a humble home, it is just as alive, just as necessary. The sound does not aim for perfection. It does not seek applause. It simply exists, filling the night with warmth. Shared meals as celebration. Evening meals are simple, yet in themselves a form of celebration. A loaf of bread torn apart by hand. A pot of lentil stew flavored with garlic and herbs. Some beer, cloudy and thick, poured into clay cups. If the father has been lucky while fishing, perhaps a grilled fish is shared. If a neighbor has brought figs or dates, the sweetness becomes a small feast. They do not sit at tables, but on mats, gathered close together. Eating is slow, unhurried. Between bites, they speak, laugh, remember. For this family, the act of eating together is the greatest comfort of all. It is their wealth, greater than silver, greater than gold. Village gatherings and festivities. On certain evenings, when the moon is bright, families step outside their own courtyards and gather in open spaces. There, groups of men play flutes, women clap, and children dance in circles. The dances are not formal, not rehearsed. They are gestures of joy, of release, feet stamping, arms swaying, laughter rising into the night. Festivals of the gods are larger, more elaborate. In town, priests lead processions, carrying sacred boats on their shoulders, decorated with flowers and gold. Incense burns, smoke rising into the sky. Musicians play harps, cymbals, drums. Crowds chant, pray, sing. Even ordinary people take part, not as spectators, but as participants. They pour offerings of beer, share food, and sing praises. These festivals are not distant ceremonies. They are moments when the entire community feels joined with the divine. games for adults. Adults, too, find ways to pass the evening. After meals, men sometimes sit together to play senet, the famous board game of Egypt. The board is painted with 30 squares, arranged in 3 rows. Small pieces are moved along the path according to throws of casting sticks. The game is part luck, part strategy, but above all, it is slow, thoughtful. Each move is deliberate. Each pause is filled with suspense. Around the players, others watch, offering advice, laughing when mistakes are made. Senet is more than a game. It is a symbol of life's journey, a reflection of fate itself. To win is to reach the safe squares, the blessed end, avoiding the traps along the way. This game, simple yet profound, connects the evenings of ordinary men with the mysteries of the gods. Quiet reflection. When the laughter fades, when the games are put aside, quiet settles over the home once again. The mother weaves a small mat by lamplight, her fingers working patiently. The father sharpens a tool for the next day, the rasp of stone on wood, steady and slow. The children, their energy spent, begin to drift toward sleep. On nights of cool air, they climb the narrow steps to the rooftop. There, they spread mats and lie under the vast stars. The father points to constellations, naming them Orion, which the Egyptians saw as Osiris; Sirius, the bright star whose rising marks the coming flood. The children listen, half awake, their eyes heavy, their minds floating in dreams. The meaning of rest. Rest in ancient Egypt is not about idleness, it is about balance. Work in the fields, the grind of labor, the demands of the overseer. All of this is harsh, consuming. But rest restores. Rest connects families. Rest gives life its rhythm. Without the songs, without the games, without the laughter, the long hours of toil would feel endless. Leisure is not escape. It is survival. As the night deepens, silence covers the village. The oil lamp burns low. The stars gleam above the roof. And the family, together, drifts into sleep. Tomorrow will bring the same tasks, the same burdens. But tonight is theirs. Tonight is peace. The sun rises once more, and with it, the hum of life returns. Yet for the family, not every day is marked by labor. Some days carry a different rhythm. Days when the divine presence of the gods feels closer. Days when prayers rise higher than smoke. Days when the ordinary is touched by the sacred. This is such a day. Morning purification. Before the family leaves their home, they prepare themselves. The father washes his hands and face with cool water from a clay jar, pouring it slowly, carefully. Purity is essential when approaching the gods. Dust must be removed, sweat rinsed away, not because the gods are offended by the body, but because ritual demands order. And order is the foundation of all things. The mother ties fresh linen around her body, smoothing its folds. The children, too, are dressed in clean garments, though theirs are simple, plain. Each holds a small piece of bread, an offering to be shared later. The family sets out toward the temple, walking together with others from the village. Their pace is unhurried, yet purposeful. The temple from afar. From a distance, the temple rises above the town like a silent guardian. Its pylons, massive gateways shaped like trapezoids, are painted in faded colors, images of gods and kings etched across their faces. The sun strikes the walls, making them glow. 2 tall obelisks pierce the sky, carved with hieroglyphs that proclaim the glory of Pharaoh and the favor of the gods. The scent of incense drifts faintly on the breeze, carried outward from within. For the villagers, The temple is not just a house of gods. It is the center of their world. Its rituals uphold Mat, the balance of order, truth, and justice. Without Mat, there would be only chaos. Entering the sacred precinct. As they approach, the family joins a growing crowd. Farmers, fishermen, artisans, all gather here. Some carry baskets of vegetables, others jars of beer or honey. Still others, small clay figurines to leave as offerings. The temple gate is guarded by priests, their heads shaved, their skin anointed with oils. They wear linen robes whiter than the clouds above. The family cannot pass into the deepest sanctuaries, for those are reserved for priests alone. But they may enter the outer courtyards, the place where people and gods meet. Stepping through the towering gate, they feel the cool shadow of the temple walls. The noise of the village fades. The air is heavy with the perfume of burning incense. Hymns and offerings. Within the courtyard, a chorus of priests chant hymns in low, rhythmic voices. The words are ancient, older than memory, carried on melodies that rise and fall like the Nile itself. The father bows his head, whispering his own prayer. Simple, personal. He prays for fertile fields, for strong oxen, for protection from illness. The mother prays for her children, for their safety, for their growth. The children mimic their parents, though they barely understand the meaning of their murmured words. Offerings are laid upon stone tables before the temple doors. Bread, onions, beer, figs, small cuts of meat, all given freely. The family adds their loaf of bread to the pile, one among hundreds, yet no less meaningful. These offerings are not for priests to consume, nor for the gods to eat, but for the balance of giving itself. The act of offering restores harmony between mortal and divine. The sacred procession. Today is no ordinary day. It is a festival of Amun, Lord of hidden things. Soon, a procession begins. Trumpets sound, deep and brassy. Drums beat in steady rhythm. Priests emerge from the inner temple, carrying a gilded bark, a sacred boat with curved ends, shining in the sun. Upon it rests the image of the god, veiled, hidden, yet present. The crowd surges with awe, though no one pushes forward. They stand in reverent stillness, heads bowed, hands lifted. The family watches as the god's bark is carried high, swaying gently with each step. The priests move slowly, deliberately, as if the weight is not of wood and gold, but of divinity itself. As the procession passes, women ululate, their voices sharp and piercing, filling the air with waves of sound. Men beat drums faster, children clap, flutes cry out. The noise is not chaos, it is devotion. The bark is carried through the streets, into the fields, even to the river. Everywhere it goes, it blesses the land. Everywhere it travels, the people follow, singing praises. Personal prayer and amulets. After the great procession, the family lingers in the quieter corners of the temple. Here, they approach a small shrine where scribes sell amulets blessed with prayers. The father chooses one shaped like an ankh, the symbol of life. He holds it tightly, then slips it on a string around his son's neck. For protection, he whispers. The boy smiles, proud, feeling important. The mother purchases a tiny figurine of Taweret, the goddess with the face of a hippopotamus, protector of childbirth. She places it carefully in her pouch, comforted by its presence. The children stare at the walls, covered in hieroglyphs. They trace the carved lines with their fingers, though they cannot read the words. Still, They know these marks hold power. They are magic in stone. Evening at home household rituals. When the family returns home, the divine presence lingers. Their courtyard becomes a sacred place in its own right. The mother grinds incense, placing it in a small clay burner. Smoke rises, thin and curling, carrying prayers upward. The father pours a libation of beer onto the earth, whispering thanks to Osiris for the harvest, to Hathor for joy, to bees for protection against evil. The children light a simple oil lamp and place it near the household shrine, a small niche in the wall where figures of protective deities are kept. Tonight, the shrine glows warmly, its shadows dancing on the walls. Together, the family kneels. Their voices are quiet, their words unremarkable, but in the silence of the courtyard, they feel heard. The broader meaning. For the Egyptians, worship is not a separate act. It is not confined to temples, nor to holy days alone. Worship is woven into life itself. Every loaf of bread offered, every jug of water poured, every prayer whispered before sleep, each is a thread in the great fabric of devotion. The gods are not distant, unreachable beings. They are present in the river, in the soil, in the stars above, and in the breath of every living creature. For the family, their prayers do not erase hardship. The overseer will still demand labor. The fields will still need endless tending. Illness may still strike. But prayer brings balance. Prayer restores Mot. Prayer makes the burden bearable. Nightfall. As darkness settles, the family climbs once more to the rooftop. They look up at the sky, glittering with stars. The father points again to Sirius, now brighter than before. The mother murmurs a hymn to Nut, goddess of the sky, who stretches across the heavens, sheltering all beneath her. The children, half asleep, dream of gods in golden boats sailing across the night sky. In this moment, the sacred and the ordinary are one. The family rests, the gods watch, the balance endures. Morning begins softly again. The family's courtyard is filled with the muted sound of doves cooing on the rooftops, and the smell of baking bread drifts across the village. Yet today is not only for work, nor for ritual. Today belongs to learning. A father's lessons. The father, a farmer, does not read or write. His knowledge is of the earth, the Nile, the changing of seasons. Yet this too is education. Before the sun grows hot, he calls his son to follow him into the fields. Look, he says, pointing to the soil. The flood left this dark and rich. When you press it, it holds together. This is good earth. The boy kneels, touching the damp ground with his fingers. He feels the weight of his father's words, as though the earth itself is teaching him. They walk to the edge of the irrigation canal. The father shows how water flows, how small channels must be opened or blocked to direct its course. He places a stick into the boy's hands, guiding him. Control the water, he whispers, and you control life. This is his first school, the field, the river, the rhythm of labor. Knowledge is not written on papyrus for him, but carved into the land itself. A mother's teachings. At home, the mother teaches her daughter different lessons. She shows her how to spin flax into thread, her hands moving with practiced ease. The girl fumbles, the fibers slipping apart. Patience, the mother says softly. Do not pull too quickly. The thread must grow like a child, slowly, steadily. Later she teaches her to grind grain, the heavy stone rubbing against another, releasing the scent of flour. The girl laughs at the dust rising, but her mother explains the seriousness. Bread feeds us. Bread feeds the gods. Never waste it. These are lessons in skill, but also in values. Work is sacred. Patience is strength. Life requires care. The village scribe. Not every child remains within the family's sphere of learning. Some are chosen for another path, the path of words. In the village, there is a scribe, a man whose reed brush carries more weight than a plow. He records harvests, tallies taxes, copies hymns, and writes letters for those who cannot. His little house is lined with rolls of papyrus, stacked carefully, safe from dust and damp. The father takes his son to the scribe one morning. "If the gods favor us," he says, "perhaps you may learn here. A man who can write never starves." Inside, the scribe bends over a sheet of papyrus, dipping his reed into black ink made from soot. His strokes are quick, precise. The boy watches, wide-eyed, as the symbols take shape. Tiny birds, curved snows, flowing lines. The scribe lifts his head. "So, you want to learn?" His voice is calm, yet carries weight. "Then you must learn patience first. Writing is not for the lazy." The School of Scribes. Not far away, near the temple, is a small school for boys chosen to train as scribes. They sit cross-legged on mats, each with a wooden board coated in plaster. Instead of ink, they use reed pens dipped in water mixed with soot. The master dictates lines from a text, proverbs, wisdom, hymns. The boys copy them carefully, though their hands ache. Mistakes bring stern looks, sometimes a sharp word. Yet they persist, for they know the reward is great. A proverb is read aloud. "A man may be stronger than an ox, but a writer is greater still, for his words outlive him." The family's son listens closely. He struggles with the symbols at first. His birds look crooked, his snakes uneven. But slowly, over weeks, he learns. Each symbol becomes familiar, each line steadier. His father visits sometimes, watching with pride, though he cannot read the marks himself. To him, it looks like magic. Women and learning. For most girls, education remains within the household. Few attend formal schools, yet knowledge flows differently to them. They learn the management of the home, the secrets of medicine from midwives, the art of song and dance from older women. The family's daughter listens as her mother tells stories in the evenings, stories of Isis and Osiris, of Hathor's joy, of Sekhmet's anger. These are lessons, too, carried not in ink, but in memory. She learns lullabies to calm children, recipes for poultices made of honey and herbs, and how to weave baskets tight enough to hold grain for months. Education for her is not less. It is different. It is the wisdom of survival. Leisure and learning. Not all learning is stern. Some is playful. In the courtyard, children scratch shapes into the dust with sticks, copying the hieroglyphs they've seen on temple walls. They play games with knuckle bones, tossing them and learning numbers as they count the falls. They carve small figures from clay, imitating gods and animals. Even laughter teaches. In games of chase, they learn quickness. In songs, they learn rhythm. In stories, they learn the past. The family's son teaches his sister a simple hymn he memorized at school. Together they chant softly, their voices rising like the faint hum of bees. Their parents smile, hearing the music of learning in their children's play. The temple as teacher. The temple is not only a place of worship. It is also a library of the gods, where sacred knowledge is stored. Within its hidden chambers are scrolls of medicine, astronomy, rituals, laws. Priests study the movement of the stars, the rising of Sirius, the turning of seasons. They measure shadows with sticks, calculating time. They record cures for illnesses, treatments with honey, herbs, and oils. Ordinary villagers may not enter these chambers, yet the wisdom flows outward. Priests teach apprentices, who then share knowledge with others. A healer may learn a recipe for fever from a temple scribe. A farmer may learn when to sow from a priest who studies the sky. Thus, even those who never hold a reed pen feel the reach of temple learning. Knowledge across generations. As evening falls, the family gathers on the rooftop again. The son shows his parents a few symbols he has practiced, scratching them into a broken shard of pottery. He draws the sign for water. 3 rippling lines. He draws the sign for life, the Ankh. His father does not understand the signs, but he touches his son's shoulder with pride. These marks will outlast the harvest, he says. The daughter shows her mother a basket she has woven. It is not perfect, but strong enough to hold figs. The mother nods, pleased. This will feed us well. Both children are learning, in their own ways. Both carry knowledge forward. In the stillness of night, their laughter fades into silence, and the stars shine above them. The gods watch, as they always do, pleased with the order of things. Reflection. In ancient Egypt, learning was never a single path. It was a river with many branches. Some learned in schools, bending over papyrus. Others learned in homes, by the rhythm of daily tasks. Some gained wisdom in temples, others in fields. What united them was this: knowledge was survival. Knowledge was reverence. Knowledge was Ma'at, the balance of life upheld through memory, skill, and word. And so, in the life of one simple family, we see the greater truth. The farmer, the mother, the scribe, the child. Each plays a part. Each learns. Each teaches. In their voices, in their hands, in their quiet prayers, the story of Egypt continues. The sun climbs once more, slow and steady, spilling its golden light across the Nile. The village awakens, not only with farmers and their families, but with a world of professions. Hands shaping, voices chanting, feet moving to the rhythm of life. The weaver's courtyard. Down a narrow lane, a weaver bends over his loom. The wooden frame creaks softly as he pulls thread after thread, turning flax into linen. His fingers move without hesitation, as though guided by a pattern older than memory. Children watch at the doorway, whispering to each other, counting the shuttles passing. For them, it is both work and wonder. The weaver glances up, smiles faintly, and continues. Linen will clothe both rich and poor. Some fabric will be plain, some dyed with rare color. A priest may one day wear it in a temple ritual. A merchant may carry it downriver. The weaver knows this, but his thoughts remain simple. One thread, one life, one order. The potter's wheel. Not far away, the deep hum of a spinning wheel fills the air. A potter sits cross-legged, his hands wet with clay. Slowly, a jar rises beneath his palms, its shape smooth, its sides balanced. He works for the village, shaping vessels to hold grain, oil, beer, and water. The clay is soft now, but soon it will harden in the fire, becoming something that will endure long after today's voices are gone. The potter hums as he works, a low tune that drifts across the courtyard. Even his song feels steady, circular, like the wheel beneath his hands. The builder's strength. Beyond the village, Along the edge of the river, larger projects rise. Groups of laborers work beneath the watchful eyes of overseers. They carry baskets of mud bricks, stacking them carefully to raise walls. The sound of tools echoes, wood striking stone, bronze chisels tapping. Some are building storehouses, others repair temple walls. A few, chosen for greater works, are taken to the capital, where they will spend years lifting stones for monuments that touch the sky. It is exhausting labor, yet shared. Men chant together as they pull ropes, their voices uniting in rhythm. Strength becomes lighter when carried in harmony. The soldiers march. From time to time, the family sees soldiers passing through the village. Their leather armor creaks, their spears gleam in the sun. Some are young men from nearby towns, drafted into service. Others are veterans, their faces lined, their movements practiced. The children watch with awe as they march, their sandals thudding in unison. The father nods quietly, knowing the soldiers guard more than borders. They protect the fields, the temples, the rhythm of Ma'at itself. A soldier's life is not only battle, it is training, long walks beneath the sun, endless drills with bow and shield. It is guarding granaries, escorting merchants, keeping peace in crowded markets. Their steps fade into the distance, leaving dust and memory behind. The priest at work. For priests, work is not with stone or clay, but with silence and ritual. In the temple, a priest rises before dawn, washing in cold water, purifying himself before approaching the shrine. He lights incense, the air filling with the sweet smoke of frankincense and myrrh. He unwraps the statue of the god, dresses it in fresh linen, offers bread and beer. His work is endless repetition, yet sacred. Each gesture keeps the balance of the world. Without the daily care of gods, Egyptians believe, the Nile might falter. The sun might not rise. So he serves quietly, day after day, his work hidden but essential. The Merchant's River. On the Nile itself, merchants guide boats heavy with goods, grain in woven sacks, fish dried in salt, pottery stacked carefully, baskets of onions, jars of beer. The river is their road, their marketplace, their livelihood. Sails swell in the wind. Oars dip gently. Voices call across the water as boats pass one another. Deals are struck, promises made. Some merchants grow wealthy, trading not only in villages but across borders, bringing cedar wood from Lebanon, incense from Punt, copper from Sinai. Others remain humble, carrying simple goods from one bank to the other. Yet all share the same current, the same endless flow. The entertainers. At night, when work ends, some Egyptians take joy in another profession, the entertainers. Musicians pluck at harps, strike drums with steady hands, and blow into flutes carved from reed. Dancers sway gracefully, their anklets chiming softly. Storytellers speak of gods and kings, their voices carrying through the crowd. Even in small villages, there are those who sing at feasts, who juggle or tumble to make children laugh. Their work is lighter, yet no less needed. For what is life without song? What is rest without laughter? The family gathers sometimes to listen, their children clapping softly in rhythm. The night feels warmer with music. The family at work. Within their own home, work never ends. The father tends the fields, bending to the earth. The mother shapes bread, weaving baskets, tending to younger children. The daughter learns to spin. The son practices writing. Yet both also fetch water, feed animals, and sweep the courtyard. Each task, no matter how small, matters. Each hand, no matter how young, contributes. Work is not separate from life. It is life itself. And when the day ends, they sit together, weary but content, knowing they have fulfilled Ma'at in their own simple way. In ancient Egypt, professions were many, yet all intertwined. The weaver, the potter, the builder, the soldier, the priest, the merchant, the entertainer, each sustained the rhythm of existence. Some worked with hands, some with voices, some with silence, some built for today, some for eternity. Yet none stood apart. All were threads in the vast tapestry of Egypt, woven tightly together. And so, under the same sky, one village, one family, and one nation, breathed as one, carried forward by work both humble and grand. The day is fading. The Nile glows like liquid gold as the sun sinks low on the horizon. The village settles into its quiet rhythm, and once more we sit with the family we have followed through fields, rituals, and labor. Now we come to the most intimate rhythm of life: food. The taste of daily bread, the comfort of shared meals, the celebration of feasts. These are the threads that tied Egyptians to one another, from humble farmer to mighty pharaoh. The daily bread. The heart of every meal was bread. In the courtyard, the mother kneels beside a stone quern, grinding grain into flour. Her hands move with steady circles, a soft rasping sound filling the dusk air. Tiny grains scatter like dust. Sweat gathers on her brow, but she does not pause. Wheat and barley, the gifts of the Nile, become dough mixed with water, sometimes flavored with herbs or dates. The children help shape small loaves, their laughter mixing with the sound of grinding stone. In a clay oven, shaped like a beehive, the bread bakes. Soon, the warm, nutty scent drifts into the night, comforting, grounding, eternal. Bread is more than food. It is survival, symbol, offering. The same bread feeds peasants and kings alike, placed also before gods in temples as sacred nourishment. Beer for all. With bread comes beer. Not the clear drink we know today, but thick, cloudy, almost like liquid bread. Brewed from barley, flavored sometimes with dates. Beer was for everyone: man, woman, child. The family drinks it not to grow drunk, but to quench thirst, to steady the body after long work beneath the sun. It is safer than water, easier to store, and endlessly nourishing. At feasts, it flows more freely, mugs filled, songs rising with it. Beer is laughter in a jar, the Nile captured in a cup. Vegetables and herbs. The meal is simple, yet colorful. From their small garden, they gather onions, garlic, lettuce, radishes, the sharp bite of garlic, the crisp crunch of onion, the cool leaf of lettuce, all find their way to the family's clay bowls. Cucumbers cool the tongue. Leeks add flavor. Lentils and chickpeas stew slowly in pots, seasoned with coriander, cumin, and dill. The scents are strong, earthy, wholesome. These foods are not luxuries, but staples, the fuel of workers, the heartbeat of villages. Meat and fish. Meat is rarer, yet not absent. On ordinary days, it might be dried fish from the Nile, caught with woven nets or simple hooks. Catfish, tilapia, perch, grilled or stewed, seasoned with herbs. On special days, perhaps a duck or goose, roasted golden over the fire. Sheep and goats provide meat, but only on rare occasions. Cattle are too precious, saved for the wealthy or the sacred. Still, when meat is shared, it is a celebration, a sign of honor, a moment remembered. Fruit and sweetness. For sweetness, they turn to the gifts of orchards. Dates, sticky and rich, pressed into balls, figs, soft and sweet, eaten fresh or dried, pomegranates with their ruby seeds, glistening like jewels in the sun, melons, cooling, juicy, perfect for hot days, and honey, the true luxury. Gathered from hives, golden and rare, honey sweetens cakes, beer, and offerings to the gods. To taste honey is to taste sunlight itself. The feast. On festival days, the family joins the village in larger celebrations. Torches light the night. Musicians play harps and flutes, drums keeping time as dancers sway. Long tables are laid with bread, beer, roasted meat, bowls of lentils, baskets of fruit. Neighbors laugh together, stories are told, and even strangers share food without hesitation. Children run between the adults, sticky with dates, their mouths full of bread. Feasts are not only for the stomach, but for the soul. They remind Egyptians that joy, too, is sacred. To laugh, to share, to taste abundance. This is also part of Ma'at, the balance of life. Offering to the gods. Food is never only for people. In temples, priests place bread, beer, meat, and fruit before the statues of gods. In tombs, families leave food for their ancestors, believing the spirit will feed on its essence. To eat is to live. To share is to honor. To offer is to keep eternity alive. The family's quiet meal. At last, as stars appear, the family gathers in their small courtyard. The father, weary from the fields, washes his hands in a clay bowl. The mother lays bread, beer, onions, and lentils before them. The children sit close, waiting, their eyes bright in the torchlight. No grand feast, no temple ritual, just a family eating together. Bread passed by hand, beer shared, laughter rising softly. It is humble, it is ordinary, yet it is everything. And so, we reach the end of our long, sleepy walk through ancient Egypt. We have seen farmers rising with the sun, children learning by candlelight, priests serving gods in silence, laborers building monuments that still touch the sky. We have entered their homes, watched them weave, carve, pray, sing, and work. And now we have sat with them at their table, tasted their bread, shared their beer, felt the warmth of their feast. What did ancient Egyptians do all day? They worked, they prayed, they celebrated, they laughed, they worried, they loved. They lived, not so different from us. Closing. As you close your eyes now, imagine the sound of the Nile flowing, the smell of bread baking, the laughter of children in the dusk. Let the rhythm of their world lull you, calm you, guide you gently into rest. Sleep peacefully under the same eternal sky the Egyptians once knew.